Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are, or if you're somewhere in the future watching the recording, welcome back to my live stream. My name is Jeff Fritz, and I call this Fritz and Friends because I want to write some code here today with you. Today is September 7th, 2018, and I tentatively named this Party in P, Party in the letter P, something like that. I don't know. But I want to spend some time today talking about Postgres and PeachPie. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that today. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our friends there in the chat room. Jay Wood, Coated Beard, Welsh Ronaldo's here, Lithix, Niami, and Granola. All right. That's not how you spell granola, but I think there's something else going on there. All right. Hilder Philippe Sousa Oliveira. Good morning. You're not pair programming nothing, just watching. Yeah, but if you jump in and say, oh, Jeff, you forgot this problem, you forgot this, I'll be sure to listen to you and we'll definitely learn something from you, of course. Sarnal is here. Parsees Paul. There's Lithix again. While playing Elite Dangerous. I don't know what Elite Dangerous is. Fretia is here. Hello, hello. And there's Mark. Yes, so Janescu pointed out I'm wearing my Philly Fusion hat because today, for those of you who aren't familiar, I'm a fan of the Overwatch League. So Overwatch is a video game that a lot of folks play here on Twitch. And we have a team allocated to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Fusion. That's their logo on my cap. Gone Fisher, thank you for the follow. The Overwatch League just finished their first league, my Philadelphia Fusion. They got to the Grand Championships and lost in straight matches to London. Those always tough London Spitfire. In the first year of the league, it was a lot of fun. 12 teams. Well, they just announced 8 new teams in the Overwatch League for 2019. So we're going to see Washington, D.C., Atlanta. There you are, Jay Wood. Yep. Atlanta's joining Toronto and Vancouver. So we're going to have I think there's going to be a Canadian rivalry develop there. We've got 3 Chinese teams coming in. Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Chengdu are all joining. And let me tell you how I'm used to hearing Philadelphia versus Toronto or Vancouver in hockey. In North America here, we have the National Hockey League, and we play teams back and forth between Canada and the United States. But hearing Philadelphia playing London, that was a little weird to hear, but Philadelphia versus Paris, I can get used to that. Philadelphia versus Seoul and Philadelphia versus Shanghai this past season, That was a real mind bender. Like, wow, oh my gosh, our team's playing Shanghai. That's so cool. But now to hear Chengdu, Guangzhou, and Hangzhou joining, it's like, okay, there's a trap there between the 4 Chinese teams. That's going to be an awesome rivalry. So, really cool to see. DC has always been a longtime rival in all sports for Philadelphia, so welcoming them as well is very, very cool. 8 new teams, 20 total for next year. I am thrilled. I'm a happy fan to hear that. A little disappointed we didn't get a few more European teams. I would have loved to have seen Stockholm or Berlin join, as they're trying to get things set up for local, regional rivalries in 2020 when they start to have teams play in their local towns. I think that's going to be important when we want to see a European block of teams, and there's definitely a North American block of teams, and now we've got a nice Asian block of teams between the four Chinese clubs and Seoul. Fear the Sock, thanks so much for subscribing with your Twitch Prime account. I really appreciate that. And I will be matching, and we'll make that a donation to Girl Develop It. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that subscription. But this will be a fun Friday today, absolutely. Let's get some music playing. I've rambled on long enough about Overwatch and esports here. I typically play music to code by. Thank you, Clark.io, for the host. I appreciate that. And the 3 folks joining us from Brian Clark's channel. Hello, hello. Links to some Azure stuff for today. Well, thank you. EF Core, Cosmos DB. Okay. Hello, Joker and Buoyant Air. But the right sidebar, all that is just a single scene in OBS, asks Jay Wood. Yes. So what you see on my sidebar over here, right over there, these are actually 2 browser elements. So this here with the chat, this is a browser. There it is, right here. Look, here's my finger. How do I want to do this? No, it's that way, but I need to be. Ha-ha! Green screen, I can do this. So the chat it's just a gray block that I've grabbed the there's a widget on Streamlabs that will output all of the chat. So that's output there. This is another browser element from Streamlabs that just outputs, here's the most recent events. You can see me testing something right there. And then this at the bottom, this is actually what's called a image slideshow. And I have a folder that has images at a fixed size for all of the events and the organizations that I collaborate with that I wanted to share information about here. So you see and I think I have them ordered by the order of the events that I'm appearing at. Next week. So we had to cancel reschedule the DevOps workshop we had scheduled for today. There was a little bit of a problem with DevOps this week. And that's all been resolved, but it caused some folks to not be available for today. Thank you, Visual Studio, for hosting the stream. So we're rescheduling that for the 17th. Now, what that means for you is that we're going to do our normal 2-hour stream today, 2-hour stream tomorrow, and then I take off for Seattle. Tuesday morning, I'll have a 2-hour stream live from Channel 9 Studios. I'm trying to recruit a guest to join me that morning. We'll see how it goes, but I'm packing up the green screen, packing up everything, OBS and all, and we're shipping out for Seattle Sunday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm producing. I'm the content lead, and we're going to be doing 42 hours of .NET Conf content live it'll be on Channel 9 is the primary place you'll see it, but you'll catch it on my channel, on the Visual Studio channel, both Twitch and Mixer, throughout the event. Okay, there's even a party at the end of the first day that you're going to be able to tune into, win prizes, but it's going to be really, really cool. I fly home right after that event on Friday. I'll arrive just in time to do my Saturday, a week from tomorrow, 2 hours, and then Monday morning we're going to do that 6-hour DevOps workshop. All told, more than 50 hours of live streaming that you're going to be able to watch. Is Channel 9 a Twitch channel? Asks Joker. No, it's not. So Channel 9 is not doing a lot of live content right now. It's really event driven. They don't have scheduled shows that they're going to do at a fixed point in time live from Channel 9 right now. And that's okay, because that means that we can take over and we can run some of that stuff. And that's where you'll see stuff on the Visual Studio channel. And Visual Studio live content that we present will be on both Twitch and Mixer. Yeah, so. All right. Thinking of streaming some bot framework soon. That sounds pretty cool, Jay Wood. All right. I am getting a little bit of green screen glitch. That'll go away when we resize here. Let's see. What else do we got here? Channel 9 MSDN. Yep. So and most of the videos that are being produced by Channel 9 end up over on YouTube right now. I'm making a little bit of a push to see if we can re-air some of those on Twitch and have some of the folks in the chat room to answer questions while the videos are being aired. Hello there, Meat Popsicle. Good to see you. It's been I don't think I've seen you in a couple days here. Thanks for joining. All right. I wanted to play music. Let's get some music playing. I usually play music to code by here, and that's what I will be playing again. Excuse me. Coffee's causing me to have a little gas here. Let's play. I love this song. I'm going to play Purple today, which starts off really, really quiet, and it ramps up. Hello, Draco. Thank you for joining us. I switched to pumpkin spice Starbucks coffee in the Keurig today, and oh man, I know it's fall now. That's good stuff. All right, there we go. I wonder if that's even a little loud. Let me just double check sound level. It is a little loud. Let's back it off. I think that's better. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back to where we were yesterday. We were looking at and we were working on Corewiki here, and we started building this deploy to Azure button. And we took a look at a couple things here, and I went and just tried the default button here, and I found out what the problem is that we're running into, and it's something that we're going to take a step towards fixing today. There's two things that are going on when you build the deploy to Azure button. You need to first tell it which project you want to deploy when you have it build the deploy to Azure button. And you can see the deploy to Azure button for Corewiki. This is that content management system we've been working on. There it is, right there in the README, right when you go to the project on GitHub. Now, more than just having the project button right here on GitHub, I'd really like to get that button on the Corewiki page itself, right? To have Corewiki host a button to install Corewiki. It's so meta. It's so cool, you know? So I'd love to get that to happen, but there's a couple of things that we as maintainers of the application need to fix first. I reached out and I talked to some of the folks around the problems that we were having with deploying Corewiki and with using this button, and they turned on some additional logging first and then tried the deploy and found some of the issues. And it turns out there's some problems with how we're using SQLite. So we use SQLite in Corewiki as our default simple database. It's just a file sitting on disk. And in our compilation that we were doing, where we put Corewiki inside of a Docker container, our SQL database is read-write. We can write that file to disk inside the container, no big deal, off it runs. However, and here's the catch, however, and this is where you put the brakes on. When you deploy a project to Azure App Service and you use Linux as your host operating system, it silently puts it into a container for you. Don't tell anyone. And I'm just telling all my friends here on stream. And when it does that, the contents of the container are read-only. That's sneaky. I agree. So And you're right, Smab. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So that leads to my first topic that I want to discuss today. I want to be able to deploy Corewiki and use Postgres so that I can deploy to a Linux-based container and start up a Postgres container next to it and be able to point over to that and say, oh, use Postgres to store everything for Corewiki. That's right, Lithics. Just between you, me, and the internet. Okay? Don't tell anyone. So that's the first thing, and that's why I want to drop Postgres in here as an alternate entity framework provider. Shouldn't be too hard to do because we've already done a lot of the groundwork with entity framework to make it work. But to drop in that alternate provider, Postgres is just a little bit different from SQLite, and there might be one or two things we need to tweak. I don't think it's going to take us too long to do, but to configure that and make it available, I think, is going to be extremely beneficial. And I want to be able to figure out a way that we can switch that, and that'll feed into a little bit of our startup project that we've been talking about. So we've been talking about this secondary project here for when you first deploy. I want to be able to configure Corewiki and some of these configuration things like who's your initial admin user? Well, what's your database storage and where does that live? Those types of questions we will be able to build those user interfaces once we have those facilities. So we'll start with Postgres here, and then we'll be able to choose at some point, I want SQLite or I want Postgres, and I think dropping in Microsoft SQL Server later will be easy to do. Hey, Moz, thanks so much for the emote salute there. What's that last one? The monkey. The monkey with the heart. Thanks so much. So let's see. Smab says you can specify repo and branch in the URL as well. Yes. So I did a little bit more reading around the deploy to Azure button, and there are ways to specify, well, here's the repository and here's how you want to pull it, right? Here's where the repository, the branch, some other information about how to pull it, but we also have to tell it where the folder is and the project that we need to deploy. So it can get a little confused in there as well. That might be another sticking point with the deploy to Azure button. So we're going to come back to that. I really should put a note next to that, not quite working yet, or building in progress or something. So let's go back over here to my code. Oh man, look, there I am. I'm going to go into that README file and just edit it real quick. Deploy button is not working just yet. In progress. All right. That should make it a little bit clearer what we're doing here. There we go. That's fine. All right. Whoa, stuff. All right, that's fine. Commit it. Do it. Go. All right. So, hey, Stool Penner, thanks for joining us today. So let's go over to start working on getting Postgres working in here, and then I want to roll over and I want to work with PHP. I know a .NET guy working with PHP, but I was talking to our friends who run the PeachPie project, and PeachPie is a project that allows you to compile PHP and run it on .NET Core. And our friend Jacob over there, he's given a great presentation. I had a chance to speak with him while I was doing tech checks for .NET Conf next week. He's got a nice presentation built and that he's working through there, and it got me really excited to try taking WordPress and getting it running on .NET Core, because when WordPress is running on .NET Core, you can build plugins for WordPress with Razor and C#. And to me, as a .NET programmer, that's exciting. That's huge, because WordPress, it powers, I think the last numbers I saw were like 30% of the internet is WordPress. It's like, yes, that sounds interesting. So let's do a little bit of this Postgres work with Corewiki, and then we'll roll over. We'll roll over and start taking a look at PeachPie and getting my blog at jeffreyfritz.com working with PeachPie. So, and Gareth says that sounds fun. Fantastic. I'm glad you approve. Smab, I've been looking at possibly using PeachPie with a particular WordPress plugin. Just started with that. They have a list of, I think they said that the top 100 popular plugins that they've gone through and they've verified work with PeachPie. So there's definitely an opportunity for that. I think the thing that I struggle with as a .NET developer, when I look at PHP, I know a little bit about how to work with PHP and database. I would really prefer to work with Entity Framework and Razor because that's where I'm comfortable. And this is really an option. You know, this is something that is optional for PHP folks to do. But the performance of PHP on .NET Core, it's something like 5 million requests a second. It is crazy stupid. Crazy stupid. And it dwarfs what Facebook's compiler and the out-of-the-box PHP compiler are able to deliver. So that's where we're going to go. I got to call out the Rainbow Beard Challenge. Look, see, I even put the date on there. Right? What do you think of that, Maz? I put the date on the line there. Looks good, huh? By October 20th, if we can get to 5,000, we're gonna dye this old soup catcher rainbow colored, and we are at 3569. We've brought in more than another 100 in the past week. We're gonna have to bring in about 100 a week in order to make that deadline. So the rush is on. All right. Let's see here. Come on now. The boss has texted. I need to respond real quick here. There we go. All right. I really should play the Jeopardy theme music when I have to respond to someone like that. My apologies. Okay. Let's put Postgres in here. This should be easy to do. Okay. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, Postgres is another open source database. It'll run on Windows, Mac, Linux. Really nice, easy to use, and it really does have that common SQL language that everybody kind of expects, and it runs pretty fast too. Postgres is available as a Docker container. So for those of us on Windows, if you're on a Mac, to just spin up a Postgres container is actually really easy. Let me go to hubdocker.com and let me grab, and I used to do this as part of a demo where I would show how to put a ASP.NET Core application into a container and get it connected to Postgres instead of using the what is it called? The SQL database, the SQL Server database, the local DB database that comes with Visual Studio. So you can install this real easy. There's a bunch of different Docker files here. Which one do I get if I ask for latest, though? It doesn't say. Official images? Yeah. I just want Postgres. So let's actually grab a copy of Postgres so I have a database here to run. So let's do docker pull Postgres and get a copy of that. Latest is 10. That's weird because, right? 10. Oh, because 11 is still beta. Okay, good catch. 10.5. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Now, right, Postgres runs on a very small Linux-based image. And if we take a look here, it's 228 meg. Small, not bad. It does the thing. Now, when you run it, there's a couple of configuration options that you do need to pass in, like what's the password you want people to use? What's the user that you would like people to use? To set the user and its password, the variable will create the specified user with the super user power and database with the same name. If not specified, it defaults to Postgres. Hey, Liam. What up? Oh, I need that was up. I need that was up. Oh my gosh. I need to grab that. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. No, no. This one. I need this. Not that. Not that. Come on. Thleeson, you angered Nightbot. That.
You pick up the phone. Hello? Who's that?
Okay, that's enough. It's not that mean. But yes, I agree. So, back to the database. So Postgres actually answers, I believe the port it answers on is 5432. Database configuration, additional extensions, blah 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 blah. I don't care. I just want to connect and use the thing. Yeah, Docker Compose. This is a great way to run it so that you have your database right next to your application all the time. Yeah, there it is. Expose 5432. So standard container link will make it automatically available to linked container. Blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to start Postgres right now. Docker run, and I'm going to expose. Actually, if I do ITP, and let's, run it in the background, and I'm going to run, I need to specify some environment variables, right? And we saw what those were here. Postgres password, Postgres user. Now, if I don't specify Postgres user, it's going to use Postgres as the name of the user. For my password, you do have to use, and we're going to specify not my secret password. So Postgres password equals password. Shh, don't tell anyone. All right, and the name of my is Postgres. Go. And there it is. It's running. Let's just run Docker log so we can see what's going on there. I didn't give it a name, so it's probably just hanging out here looking silly. Condescending Mestorf. Yeah, okay. But it's 60 is the ID for this. All right, so Docker logs 60. All right, database system is shutting down, ready for startup, server startup, and init process complete. Listening on 5432, 5432, 5432. Database system was shut down. Database system is ready to accept connections. Isn't it? It should be running, right? Yep, up 45 seconds. And see, because I didn't specify the port to pass through, it just randomly chose one for me. And I don't like that. So let's force it to 5432. So I'm going to have to specify 5432, 5432. Okay. Now if we take a look, now it's listening on 5432 locally. Fantastic. So I can look at that. Bad precedent. You can make up anything you want for password. You are correct. Code Therapist. Hello from Switzerland. Guten Nachmittag, Switzerland. Good to see you. Right? Speak German in Switzerland, plus French and English. So, hey, good morning, Zerk. And yes, you can make anything you want for that password. I'm using password just because I'm not creative. All right, let's go over to our Corewiki source code. Is this still? It is. I still have Corewiki open from yesterday. Go figure. Now, we already have a project here called Corewiki Data Entity Framework, and it has a couple dependencies in here to get us into... And oh, we even moved the security bits in here also. Awesome, awesome. But we've got stuff in here to get... Come on. I want to scroll. There it is. To get SQLite wired up. Not bad. That does its thing. But I want to get Entity Framework for Postgres into the mix also here. So Entity Framework for Postgres, if I remember correctly, is a package called npgsql. And there it is. I'm going to take a look at this. It's got 4.8 million downloads. There it is. 4.8 million total downloads. So it has to be good. Hasn't been updated for 2 months. And it will run on .NET Standard 2.0. .NET Standard 2.0, of course, is that contract that says our code will run... if you write a library that runs on .NET Standard, it will run on all of the .NETs, depending on which version those .NETs support. So .NET Framework, .NET Core, and Xamarin. So by supporting .NET Standard 2, this library will work with all three of those, the latest version of all of those frameworks. So .NET Core 2 and later is supported by .NET Standard 2, so I'm safe to use this library with Corewiki, which is built on .NET Core. German, yes. Really bad. PeachPie, let's have some pies. We're getting there, Janescu. Let me do the Postgres bit here first, and then we'll roll over to PeachPie. All right. So this is spammer callers. I tell you, I don't answer my phone unless it has one of my family members' names on it or somebody that I know. Otherwise, it's all spam. It's worthless. The phone system really needs to do something about this. Otherwise, I'll just have everybody call me on Skype. All right, so let's put down npgsql, and this is 4.02 is the latest. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach into this project, and I'm going to do this through the user interface. I will browse and make sure I'm going against NuGet.org. I'm going to search for npgsql. There it is. And I'll click the install button. And it's just that simple. Who uses phones for voice? So 2000s. My mother. That's who. If you want to call my mother, it's voice. All right, what do we got here? I have a couple updates waiting. Nuh-uh. It's because it's searching still. That's okay. I don't care about that. Noda Time by John Skeet. He's got an update. Sure. Let's take his update. But the other ones, the framework ones, I'm not going to take. There we go. Detected package downgrade in Corewiki and Corewiki test. So here's what you can do. Check this out. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you right-click on the solution inside of Visual Studio, manage NuGet packages for solution, there's this consolidate button up here. And you can click on it, and it will tell you, hey, you've got different versions in different projects here. And what you can do is you can consolidate all of them to the same version. So I'm going to push everything to 2.4 just by clicking install, and it'll go update those other projects to the correct version. HMigo says, why you hang up on me? Yeah, I see what you're trying to do there. Apple pie is good. There's a new IoT introduction video where part 5 where Noobcat shows some photo upload with Azure, with IoT Hub and Azure Storage. Oh yes, she's doing a bit of work on that, and it's really great stuff to see. Now, why did I still get that error coming up? Right, it should have shown me. Yeah, we're clear there. If I build, we should be in good shape. When I see a call from an unknown number, I know that someone I don't care about needs a favor. Okay. They need a favor, huh? I didn't thank Kuba the Best. Thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us here on this Friday. There we go. Build succeeded, and yeah, those errors are gone. Good. All right, so I have my Noda time upgrade done. I installed the package for Postgres here, so we can start interacting with that. When I see a private number call, I say I'm going to respect your privacy and not answer. Nice. That's a good one. So for getting this running and showing that it's going to use Postgres instead of SQLite means that we actually need to change some of our code. We have these repositories down here called Article SQLite, Comment SQLite, and Slug History SQLite repository that were initially very specific to SQLite. All right, I've got to ask this in the chat room. So chat room, help me out here. This database, is it SQLite? Is it SQLite? Which one is it? How do you pronounce it? Hey, Lennon. So if you pronounce it SQL, right? S space Q space L. If you pronounce it SQL, see, now, Lennon, that didn't help. Is that the letters SQL? If you pronounce it SQL, yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking, Lennon. Sequel, like Empire Strikes Back was the sequel to A New Hope. Sequel, of course, says Fretya. Chris says sequel. And VTMR says Munka. Okay, Munka, it wasn't an option here. I tell you. Get out of here. SQLite. Ah, Joker goes SQLite. Okay. All right. It's funny, when I first started working with larger scale databases, I started with Sybase, which is where Microsoft SQL Server comes from, right? It was a partnership with Sybase, and then Microsoft took their license and ran with it, and now we've got massive, huge, gigantic cloud scale SQL servers. But the Sybase folks called it SQL Server. And that kind of stuck for me because that's what the folks that I worked with called it. But the programming language that you use and Stoolpenner goes SQL Server. Yeah, see, the programming language isn't SQL, it's SQL. See Wikipedia, it was initially called SQL. Yes. So SQL Server, that kind of stuck for me. And then the programming language, I alwaalways took as and pronounced as SQL, because I was used to calling programming languages by single letters, C, C#, VB. So to SQL, all right, whatever. But I would never call it FORTRAN or COBOL. No, Fortran, COBOL, relational database. So question, if this goes into a Docker container, don't they throw away your data with the instance? How do we persist to a real database? Or is the database outside our container? Good question, Lithics. What you can do, and when we do talk about a relational database that we do want to persist longer than the container is going to live around, you can mount a volume. And that volume is a way for you to say, well, take this folder inside the container and make it this physical folder on disk. That way, that physical folder that it's actually writing to, you can archive and perform regular maintenance on. So, imagine saying COBOL instead of COBOL. I know, that's weird, isn't it, Soulpenner? No way. You would never do that. It's too long. It's too long. Hey, Mr. Regs. The pronunciation of SQL is much like GIF. No one is going to agree with one way of saying it. Okay, HMigo, back in the day, in the 90s, I was a GIF pronouncer. I like peanut butter. What can I tell you? And I think it was very much an East Coast thing. East Coast, West Coast, where a lot of the folks in my part of the world called them GIFs. And then I started working with folks on the West Coast, and they pronounced it GIF and say, look, it's graphics. Of course it's GIF. And that stuck for me for better part of 20 years. And now we find out that the folks that invented the image format actually pronounce it GIF. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Shame on me. I'm sorry, Welsh Ronaldo. I'm sorry. Look, it's okay.
Do it!
Let's get back to the code. So I called these repositories that work with Entity Framework SQLite repository. Now, if we take a look at the repositories that we have here, there they are. And our security actually goes into another, I think it's the context here, right? Well, it's just working directly with this context, and it doesn't actually have anything in here that is specific to the database provider. And funny enough, these repositories don't actually have anything that's directly coupled to the provider either. So I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to have SQLite in the name of these objects here. So I think we can change that out, and we can change this to just article repository. Schema query language. Dub in English is fun too. Is it www? Yes, in German, it's www. Yeah, and I actually like that better. And you hear how many Americans shorten www to just dub, which sounds weird. That's why I use Docker Compose in projects. Mounting all the folders and defining a group of grouped containers is great. Yes. Took me some time to find the easy Visual Studio menu to add the files, though. Azure containers support volumes. Yes, they do. And you can actually mount volumes into Azure storage. I was looking at that actually just the other day. Azure container volume. I was just looking at this article the other day. Create a Azure file share, and of course they're doing everything in PowerShell instead of showing you how to clicky and do it in the user interface. Yeah, okay. But let me paste that link in here for Lithics. So that's how you can do it. I'm not going to do it as part of this, but because I think I'm just going to mount a Postgres eventually. So I'm going to rename these repositories to just article repository. And yes, please. Let's get rid of these. Yes, please. Do that one more time. Thank you. Cool. Now, I still need to go down here somewhere and in startup extensions, easy for me to say, need to configure this to use not SQLite, but to use Postgres when we're ready to use Postgres. Add DB connection pool for application DB context, which contains on-model creating stuff. Seed data, article histories, that's fine. Let me save everything here. Close all but this. I want to make sure I catch the security stuff. So this needs to be referenced somewhere. Where is it? Corewiki, seed. Yeah, come on. I'm okay there. So this is way up here in Corewiki, and this has use SQLite involved as well. SQLite. Ugh. Can I work with HTML and JavaScript? Yes, I can. I'm not going to be doing any of that today. But we do work with it on occasion. We did a bunch of user interface work a week or two ago, but we've been focusing on some of these architectural type things, and we're swapping out our database provider today, and then we're going to go over and do that PHP work a little bit later. But Anime Fan, it's definitely something that's on the table that we will work with on a future stream. Today we're not going to be touching on those topics. But thanks for the question. Can I help you find a streaming URL on a site? Yeah, I need a little bit more details what you're looking for there. So we're going to need to, in order to get Postgres in here, we're going to need to swap out both this and, not that one, and over here so that it knows to how and where to behave. So config get connection string is actually getting connection strings out of app settings connection strings right here. So I feel like I don't want to put the provider, right, to tell it, to use SQLite or to use Postgres. I don't think I want to add it as another connection string. I think I want to add database provider as a separate. Yes, Smab. I definitely. That's exactly the type of behavior that I want. I want to be able to change providers without changing code, and I think putting it into configuration like this makes it really easy. Hey, Syed! I think that's my buddy Syed that I work with at Microsoft. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So the configuration here, we're actually loading a bit of this up into, right? This gets loaded up, and if there's environment variables that define different things in configuration, it's loaded up and made available to us in this config option here. I think, thinking out loud, and work with me here, chat room. Let me know if this doesn't make sense. I think all of our configuration, though, oh gosh, I'm not getting a strongly typed configuration. I can just reach into configuration, though, and get it. Hey, it is you. Fantastic. Great to see you, Syed. Welcome. We're happy to see you. Is it good practice to store connection strings in configjson? Great question. Yes and no. For development, since I'm working locally and this is local machine stuff, not too bad. You can use user secrets, which is a separate JSON file that hides somewhere else on disk. You can store them in there if you're connecting to a developer database that you don't want to be committed and have those passwords exposed in GitHub or whatever other public source control you may be using. Or you can set the connection strings from an environment variable, and ASP.NET Core will load that up and present that. Or you can use another service like Azure Key Vault to load configuration in and replace it. So there's a bunch of different ones for using SQLite and just having this file-based database here that you can't really access or interact with unless you can get to my file system. I don't care. It's right there, Ooh, wow, you found it out. It's in app data. Good for you. It's right where I want it because
it can be done exactly how I want it.
Exactly.
The only question is, are you the man to do it?
Me? Of course I am. All right. So what I'm going to do, I think I want to just provide just an additional thing here that says data provider. I mean, that feels so guerrilla, right? And it's either going to be SQLite or Postgres at this point. At this point. I think I want to formalize that at some point later. Jay Wood says Azure Key Vault is nice. It is. Welcome, Horsey Boy. Thanks for joining us. Azure Key Vault's pretty good because then all of your passwords sit secured, encrypted in a central location that is actually pretty hard to get to break into or access. You need to set up different things with it, and you have to actually authorize the machine that's allowed to query that data. Of course, password stands for please associate super stuff with our Dean? Who's Dean? So it's a phrase which Jeff can easily remember. Of course. With our righteous Dean, I think is what you're referring to. That's what I believe the R is, right? Please associate super stuff with our righteous Dean. Hey, Syed, thank you for the follow. Steve, buddy, you're getting a little sweaty there. Back it off just a little bit, all right? You'll be good. But you've got some work to do here. And Syed, I've gone a little bit off the deep end here. I know. But if we get to 5,000 followers by the 20th of October, I know you've got a pretty good beard like this. I'm going to dye mine rainbow colored if we get to 5,000. And the folks at Twitch said if we get you to 6,000, you got to do that for us at TwitchCon the week after. I told them, you're on. I don't think we're going to get there, but it's a good push. All right. No, password is just a development thing. When I deploy to production, we'll make that something different. I think this is fine for us to get started, but I think as we add more data providers and we think about storing wiki article data in something that isn't a relational database, and we want to use perhaps something that's like Azure table storage or Cosmos DB or MongoDB or some other, or even Google Bigtable, something like that. We're gonna need to make this a little bit more formalized. Right now, this feels a little guerrilla, but I think it'll work for us. I think it'll work for us for right now. So if I make data provider Postgres, right, I've now got this little disconnect where it doesn't actually. Right, this is a bad connection string. We'll work with that. We'll figure this out. Okay. So I'm going to go into startup extensions here. Now where it does services, add, entity, framework, SQLite. We would want to change that to say, when we do Postgres, right? Add, what is it? Add Postgres? Isn't that the command? If I control dot on that, I don't get anything. What is it? I thought it was add Postgres. Where is it? Entity Framework Core. Oh, I need NPG SQL, Entity Framework Core. All right, let's grab that one. I grabbed. Why did I start Teams? Go away, Teams. I don't need Teams right now, and I don't need that right now. S. Grassy, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Okay, good. Team's closed. So I'm missing an extra reference here. Let me add that other reference. Manage NuGet packages. Let's grab that one. There it is. Oh. Support plugin for Postgres. Look at that. All right, let's start off with that one. Yeah, I know. That's because I'm still writing it. You fool! All right, so now when I come down here, add entity framework NPG SQL. So if I do this, that should do something. Ooh, it does know it. Fantastic. And now can I still do add DB context? Yes. All right. So this returns an iService collection. This should return iService collection. Fantastic. So here's what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to think too hard about this. I'm not going to try and make this really pretty. I'm just going to reach into config and pull out. And I'm doing this really thinking in the principles of Yagni. You aren't going to need it. I only have 2 providers, so I'm just going to do a quick switch on this on the data provider. dot, let's do a two lower invariant is what I should do, all right? And it's iService collection, and we will call this, I'll just call it services, I don't care. Thank you, Mr. The Plague 95. Nice hackers reference. Mr. The Plague. Hey, Gutierrez Dev, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Hunter2. Hunter2, that's a good password. Mr. The Plague 95. I wonder if that's our friend Blow Dart hiding. Because we know how much he hates hackers. So if it's Postgres, we will make services equal this. If it's anything else, even if it's empty, let's just do else. Right? No. Shoot. Default. That's what it is. That's what I'm thinking. We need to put break here. Oh, I double defined that, didn't I? Well, services return services, so I don't actually need to... Right? I don't need to do that. I can just do this. Right? Yeah. So I can say services... Identity framework. Right? And then down here... I should... be able to just do that. And that should just work. Should. Unfortunately, crash override was already taken. It's a crime. Oh, man. Man. Now you're going to tell me acid burn was taken too. Huh? Or serial killer. Huh? See what I did there? Lord Nikon. Oh, I'm going. I still have uSQLite on line 31. Yeah, why is it down there? Oh, because that's where it's configuring. Wow, that's early. That's where it's configuring the connection string. Now, when I'm over here and I configure the options, it's options use npg SQL connection string. That makes me feel bad. Options is a DB context options builder. I wonder, right? So this is taking a action of type DB context options builder. Action DB context options builder. Options builder. What if we did this? Why don't you like that? All right. What if I did this? Options builder equals, right, and do something like that. Except it's going to be use npg. Yeah, use npg SQL. We need to do something like that, right? What do you think? And then that, and this should be use SQLite. And then here, I can just say options builder. What do you think, chat room? While too lower uses the current culture. Yes. In the Postgres case, it sets the services equal to the provider, but not the default case. It sets the services. Oh, good point. We don't need to do that. Good catch. Thank you so much, Jay Wood. I think your config definitions clash at the moment. Clash. That feels bad. Help me out there, Smab. Where do they clash? What am I missing? What am I... think that's the only other place where we reference SQLite. I'm just going to do a quick find here on the entire solution just to make sure that I've caught every... Oh, dear God. All right. That's JavaScript. I don't care about the JavaScript. Oh, dear God. I should have excluded JavaScript. No. Are you kidding me? Really? Come on, man. All right. Oh, I've got annotations in the migrations for SQLite. That should be okay. Configure database. Add SQLite repositories config. Well, that's a method that we wrote, so I'm okay. We're going to need to touch that up, and there it is. Add SQLite repositories. And that's this. What about moving the to enable sensitive data logging into services add DB context so it's easier to remove add later, as I think it is common? Sure, let's do that. Written before I change the code and in the app settings. Well, yes, they do. Right, app settings right now is pointed to SQLite data sources and not the Postgres. We'll change that in just a minute here. Where was I? It was, we've got to fix this one also, but startup extensions. So how do I move this bit out? So options builder it's an action that takes in a DB context options builder. So do I do something like this? Right, what if I did this? And let me know if I'm just completely crazy. Because I might be. Right, so if we say options builder, options, and then at the end of it say options dot enable sensitive data logging. And then I can remove that bit. How's that, chat room? Yep, identity to sort out as well. You're right. You are correct. And the get connection string, I can move that out as well, but I'm... Right, we can... let's do this. Introduce local. That's fine, and we can move this up here. And then change this to connection string. I think that works. Nah, Smab, I'm thinking right along with you, man. We're on the same page. Thumbs up from Chris Jones. Fantastic. All right.
Woo!
Let's go. Let's go. Now, Smab was pointing out we do have to cover identity also, and he's right. We need to do almost the exact same thing right here. It's and this pivot right here. Options use SQLite, and it was one other place, I thought. You know what? Let's rename this bit. Just rename this to add repositories. Corewiki configuration startup. This is, where is this one? Yeah. And that's down here in startup extensions, which is inside of my database project, the project that has all my connection stuff for the database. So I'm good with that. We're in good shape with that now. Now it's not coupled. Right, the naming doesn't implicitly couple it to the SQLite provider. Lithics asks, talking about identity, should it go into the same database as the data or its own database? Very good question. For this project, we have the option to put it in the same database or in a different database. I have provider out. I have one provider for the two connection strings. So I'm kind of assuming it's going into the same provider. For right now, just to get it working, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Really, I am. I'm going to grab this exact same bit here. I'm going to start with that. Over here. And it doesn't... Wow. Yeah, that's fine. That's all the identity stuff. So I'm going to take this bit. Let's extract a method. And let's call this configjson. Just so it's somewhere else. We've got all of our logic isolated and in this one place right here. I'm going to paste in that code. I don't have configuration available to me right here. Why not? Context.configuration. Okay. So context.configuration. Now it's not Corewiki data we're pulling from. It is Corewiki identity context connection. That's a mouthful. So I can go in and change this. So now we're going to check. All right. This does services add DB context, and then options use SQLite. So what I should be able to do, let's get rid of this. Now, oops. Right, option SQLite. That's that end. That's that end. Okay. You know what? Just to make that a little clearer, I'm going to put some extra carriage returns in here. Just because this is for human readability, not machine readability. The machine knows how to handle this. I don't need to think about it. There's nothing to stopping you from putting it in the same database, but there can be good reasons to keep them separated. Very true. Having one provider means it will be one DB server type, and the connection string will decide if they share a database. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so really it's the options builder here. Well, that. And we've already got it using the appropriate statement there with the connection string, so I think all I have to do is define that options builder bit, which is this line right here. If I just drop that in, yes, I need to control dot, and then I can, I don't need that, don't need that, and I think that does it. Instead of calling this, I can get away with just now options builder. Right? What do you think, chat room? Looks good? Right? I can build? Because that's all you really need to do before you know that you can ship your software, is just build your application. If it builds, ship it. Works on my machine. Ship it. It works. World exclusive. Only found here. Compiling is the first unit test. Absolutely. Right, and I can check my test explorer, and I've got 30 tests that all ran properly. And that runs after every build. That's also, I think I have, do I have live unit testing turned on? No. Like a Neanderthal, I don't have it turned on. I have it, and I don't have it turned on. What is your problem, Fritz? Good afternoon, ancient coder. Ship it parrot. No, ship it squirrel is what we do. We have a ship it squirrel. We'll get the users to come and use your machine. All good. Hey, hey! I see what you're doing there. I tell you. No, we're good. I need more good clips here. Are you still working on the Corewiki project? Always. This is an ongoing project. We're going to be building forever. But I think we're pretty well done with what I need to set up and test here. So now I'm gonna violate here. Let's copy, paste some more of those in. Yes, these are duplicated. I'm going to comment them out. Commenting out JSON is, right, that's a violation. People don't like that. They say, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. But you know what? I don't care. So I'm going to go to localhost 5432 is where my Postgres database is. And then what is it? Is it user ID? Postgres. And then is it password? And it should be an equals there, right? Password equals password because I believe in high security. Don't tell Barry. All right. I think that's all I need. Isn't that all I need? Did I manage to do the Azure button you were trying yesterday? So Ancient Coder, just to back up a second. I talked to some of the folks on the Azure team, and the problem with the deploy to Azure button is that we're using a SQLite database. And in addition to a couple other configuration things that we need behind that deploy to Azure button so it knows to deploy the correct project. When it deploys, it is going to favor a Linux machine. In favoring that Linux machine, it's going to put the contents of our application, our ASP.NET Core application, into a container. The container is read-only on disk, and that SQLite database that we want to write to, it can't write to. So the first thing that we want to do, and this is one of the goals of our new data architecture project, is to be able to deploy and use other databases without having to change our web code. And this is the first one of those databases that I thought we could implement real quick here, and that's using Postgres. So I have Postgres right now running on my machine inside of a container right there. All right, if I docker ps, there it is. It's been running for a little bit. I've been wasting time talking and getting distracted here, but we've got the code there now. It should connect and use that. Let me just, there's a good website, it's connectionstrings.com, I think it is, that will give you all the connection strings, the connection strings reference. And I'm going to go find Postgres, user ID, password, host, port, database. I don't need to specify database. It'll go to the right database, but I do need host. I already have user ID and password, so let me put host in there and make sure that says localhost. Got it. Localhost. Oh, that should be port too as well there, huh? Port equals, right? Port equals 5432, host. And then I can do all the cool pooling, minpool, maxpool. Should we just put the SQLite database in a read-write container volume? You can do that. However, the default deploy that goes out to Azure does not. Let's see here. All right, go back here. So let's copy that string, replace this string, and it should update my Postgres database and start working with it as soon as I start the application. Here we go, friends. I'm going to push the button, and it should connect and start writing into that Postgres database. So here's what I'm going to do, just so we can keep an eye on things. I'm going to do a docker logs, I believe it's -f to follow, and it is Charlie Fox is our Postgres database. All right. So we should see this running, and when it starts inserting things into the database, this should start populating with some of that content. Let's see if it works. But you're right, Smab. We can certainly map that app data folder to a volume that will be managed read-write on disk. It's just the default configuration doesn't do it. So I'd like to be able to provide a way to set your default configuration so it goes somewhere else easy, right, without having to think too much about it. Repositories, SQLite, Postgres, and so on as an option when deployed. Exactly. I hit start. What are you doing? What are you doing, Visual Studio? All right, so there's that thing doing its thing, loading the thing. Ooh, look at all that stuff going by, and I don't see a thing happening over here. And Visual Studio is blinking at me. Cannot access a disposed object. A common cause for this error is disposing a context that was resolved from dependency injection and then later trying to use the same context instance elsewhere in your application. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not good. Now, this sure looks like it created a whole bunch of stuff there. You know what I mean? Like create table. Sure looks like it put stuff in there, but why did that? User manager, role manager. All right, so if I go configure authentication, right, use cookie policy, use authentication, seed default administrator role, and look, it's here. So did we do something during the seeding process where it kind of blewed up on us? Blowed up, where it did that. Try it again. When in doubt, push the button again. Nope, blowed up again. All right, we're gonna have to debug. Configure authentication. So I want to go down into this. Take a look at this chalupa. Chalupas. All right, I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. Stop this. Try it again. Hey, good morning, Syra Lash. I'm enjoying pumpkin spice coffee today because I can. Admin role exists. True. Okay, so it's there. Good. User manager. Get roles in user async. Okay. There it was. It tried to access user manager and blew up. So, yeah. So that tells me that our configuration of, right, our authentication, our identity configuration is not quite right. Right, so where we did configure DB and we just moved everything over, this one. Add entity framework stores. Yeah, this is an extension. This isn't something we wrote. Corewiki identity context. In Corewiki identity context, we configured here. Did we do something wrong? What do you think, chat room? Does it need the password? Postgres most likely won't need a password. Actually, I specified a password. So the connection string is host equals localhost, post equals 5430, port 5432, user ID, Postgres, password equals password. And this should, yeah. All right, so it found Postgres. Options, use NPG SQL. So it should find that, and it did create the database properly for us. And now we're in at this point, and it's trying to swap and use. Gets all the way through to here. So role manager, it's okay with. So here, user manager administrator's role is just that text. So user manager get roles in user async. So there is a logger that it is logging. And then bang. Let's go over and see if there's something. No, nothing reported over here. Oh, crumbs. Did we seed... Excuse me. Did we seed the roles is the question. I thought it was there when we just looked at it. Right, app configure authentication. That's in the middle of what it's trying to do. Right, it's right here. Right, because otherwise... Right, what we're trying to do then is say, right, we'll create that user, and then we will create the, right, well, here's the user, create that user, add that user to a role. And it blows up while trying to get the users in the administrator role. Gosh, did the DB seed properly? Yeah, that's the next question, isn't it? So I should be able to connect into the database here. I'm going to disconnect my log. I should be able to connect if I do a docker exec. What was the name of this one? CF. So I want to connect to that, and I want to execute PSQL. You make me feel sad. Bash. Oh, I forgot. Dummy. IT. So I get the interactive terminal. There we go. PSQL-P. Yeah. Right, isn't it dash? Not dash port. It's how do I get the password? I want to specify that I need to be prompted for a password. Where is it? Dash W. There we go. Password. Oh, you make me sad. What is it to specify the user? Dash capital U. Whatever. Password. Thank you. Tuples only is on. No, don't do that. That's a bad idea. What is it to show the tables? I thought it was just /\t. Oh, there we go. /d. I want to list tables. Yep, /dt. There they are. Shoot. Come on. What am I missing here? Check the contents. Yeah. What am I missing to do this select? Why isn't it letting me select from ASP.NET users? Public instead of Postgres. Oh! I was looking at the owner instead of the schema. Thank you. Nope. Nope. Didn't pick that up either. Huh. Does it need to be public Postgres ASP.NET users? No. Yeah, I tried public and it didn't work. But it, I mean, it clearly applied all of my schema here. Quote it? Oh, yeah, look at that. It's putting it lowercase. Oh, are you kidding? That's not the least bit annoying. That's not the least bit annoying, but it didn't create the user. Right? So did it create the role, which is ASP.NET roles? I don't think it will have. Oh, it did. Wait a sec. All right. So they're there. The roles are there. Gotta go. All right. Thanks so much for stopping in, Moz. So we have the roles, but it's not getting the users. Right, it didn't create the user. It's trying to do get users in role. Right? Which would be ASP.NET user roles. ASP.NET user roles. And there's nothing there. So it no coffee anymore, need a refill. Yeah. So why am I not getting that? Why isn't it setting that up and loading the content? I am confused. Because it's just saying that this was disposed. Well, what was disposed? Because clearly user manager is there. Not that one. It's this one right here. Right? It was able to run with role manager up here. But so let's put a breakpoint on that one. Right? I feel like I need to almost force a new user manager to be acquired. There it is. Add any admin users, user manager. And then does the user role need to be seeded first? The user role is there. It's trying to say, well, are there any users in this role? Hi, my name is Dan17. Well, hello, Dan17. Welcome. Null check needed for Postgres. Where are you thinking, Smap? The exception is being thrown before the code that should create the default user. Yes, yes. Mr. The Plague is correct. Right, the default user is down in here where it's waiting to be created, and our database shows not select. Nobody was created yet. Null check needed. Yeah. So if the user manager, right? User manager should be passed into this. Here. Which is being passed in from there. Which is right here. I wonder if I need to request a new user manager because it's just been configured up in here. You know? Right? Configure services happened in configure services. Right? Where does this... Oh, wait a sec. Oh, no. That should be made available as it passes into this. It should have created that as we're coming in. The exact exception details. Let's run it again. Let's take a look at the exception. It's reporting that something's been disposed, but it isn't telling me exactly what has been disposed. Which then means we're chasing our tail. All right, so here it is. It's going to try to, right, user manager is a thing. It's there. There it is. Right, I can even reach into the users object here and see there's no users. But when I try and run that, wha-bam! View details. Oh, look at that. Thank you. Cannot access a disposed object. This may occur if you are calling dispose on the context. No, we're not doing that. Object name, Corewiki. Where was it? It was right there. It was right there. Object name, Corewiki identity context. The plot thickens. Because we just changed how Corewiki identity context is defined. Corewiki identity context. There are 11 references to this. There's where it's being seeded and the migration. So the migration worked because we have all the things. All the things are in the database. I wish I could expand this. Migrations, identity hosting setup. This bit right here. Add entity framework stores. Can you turn on all unhandled exceptions to catch it closer to where the exception happens? Yeah, we can do that. But this should be happening first. And I am, as Lithics is suggesting, pop out the code lens into a panel. Let me do this. I want to check the exceptions where it says just my exceptions. I'm going to turn that off. No, that's not it. I think it's called just my, it's like just my code or something like that. Enable just my code. No. Show me everything. Break it. Break it. Break it. Break it. Break it. Okay. So adding identity, it's adding the information about Corewiki identity context at this point. Right, if I jump down into that. Oh, that's not me. But it's already done the configure DB and defined right. Context configuration get connection string, so it had the connection string, and it did the options builder for use npg SQL with the connection string. So we have that now. Go. All right, so here we are at this point. What is that? Let's take a look a little bit further at this. The common cause of this is blah, 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 blah. Here's the stack trace. And I hate that I'm looking at a stack trace. DB context check disposed, DB context get dependencies. At startup configure, seed default admin user CS. Yeah. Line 29 here, where it's building out that default administrator user. And this is going to run at the beginning of everything. And I don't see it. Have all those chain calls returned services? Smab is suggesting. Tell you what, let's put it back. Right, let's do this directly without it actually doing the switch here. Right, if I just comment this out for right now and just hard code in here this. Oops. Right, that's what it would look like if I was just using NPG SQL directly. Because I haven't hit the rest of the database interactions yet, where it's actually going and configuring and working with the other database context. It's so groovy, this music. It's groovy, man. Just groovy. All right, here we go. Nope, doesn't like it. Yeah, it's disposed the object. A common cause of this error is disposing a context that was resolved from dependency injection and then later trying to use that same context elsewhere. This may occur if you are calling dispose on the context or wrapping the context in a using statement. If you're using dependency injection, you should let the dependency injection take care of disposing context instances. I don't think we're calling dispose anywhere. Right? Because... right, the other place that it was called is down in here. Services add DB context. So I'm not disposing. Have all yeah. Let me turn this back over to SQLite. Yeah, I get it. And let me hard code that older connection string, just so I can see if it's SQLite or if it's Postgres. This one. Because if it's Postgres, well, we'll have our answer real quick. What was that? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. All right, now let's try that. Currently, it's returning void. It should be returning services. No, it's not supposed to be returning. It's an action. Okay, so here we are. User manager is a thing, and it works. So it's Postgres that's causing the problem. It's not. It's not working with Postgres. So by changing it back to using SQLite, which makes me really sad. I've got too many files. Too many secrets. Where was it? Not that one. Let's see. So that... So this bit right here, that's where it was. Sneakers, yes! Points to Maruko. There you go. You can spend them anywhere that points are available to be spent. I don't know where that is, though. Try it with an empty SQLite database? All right, we'll give that a shot. I am not opposed to trying that. I'll reach into my Corewiki folder, Corewiki, app data, and I'm going to create a backup copy of my identity database, and let's give it another shot. Yep, I don't think I need to show that works anymore. Ooh, that's a good idea, Code Therapist. That's a really good idea. That works just fine with SQLite. And I've got a new identity database on disk. Okay. So I like what Code Therapist is saying. Let's override dispose in the context that we're working with here. So over here, this is Corewiki identity context. And the suggestion is let's override. That's not what I wanted to override. Sorry, Dave. That's not what I wanted to allow you to override. Let's set a breakpoint there and let's see it actually called dispose. Tough guy. Yeah, I'm looking at you there, entity framework. Great idea, Code Therapist. This will help us find out where it's disposing. All right. It's doing something. User manager, get users in role async. Oh, this is going to work because I'm still going to the SQLite. I gotta redo the thing here, so it's going against NPG-SQL. Let's do this, just so I don't have to rewrite that. And I'm gonna grab that, paste that, give it another shot. Come on, do the thing. Wrong one. No, the other. You think I copied the wrong one? Oh, I did. Shoot. Good catch. Oh. Thank you. In my haste, I copied the wrong one. All right. Good thing it built so quickly. Come on. Okay, here we go. Now it's disposing. Look at that. Look at that. Good catch, the Code Therapist. Now, why is it disposing? Where's the call stack? All right. We're in the bowels of ASP.NET Core. Look at all this. Web extensions, task method, blah, 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 blah. Start async. Start, build application, configure anonymous method. Okay. There, it's calling convention-based startup configure. But it's something is calling dispose. Yeah, right. Oh, look at that. So this is disposing. Why is that disposing? Because I'm down here at the bottom of this invoke. Is the life cycle correct? I'm not actually... I haven't changed the life cycle. Hey, Fierce Kittens, thanks so much for the host. Right, if you look at this, I'm doing the same add DB context for both of them. Options use, and then NPG SQL. In my services, I add entity framework, or right, I'm adding that entity framework bridge to those, and that works. Cool. Yes, it is. Smab is suggesting that I should be returning iService collection from where? Right, this is in here. Are you suggesting that when I add entity framework, I return this service collection and then continue adding the DB context pool? But that's this. This is for the other database context. This shouldn't affect us here. It's... Ugh. Now I'm getting confused. Right, I'm not returning, right, from configure DB, right, this little method that I... Stop it. Right, I'm passing in the services, I'm doing my thing, and then... What does the method signature for the method attempting to add the user look like? Oh, hey, there's Steve Fabian. Hey, Steve. What do we got? In .NET Core middleware with Entity Framework, I have an API written in .NET Core. I have token middleware that I'm having some issues with. If I send the request to the middleware from one client at a time, it's fine. If I try to use the middleware by more than one client, I get errors. User manager doesn't have a new instance created every time I request, and I think that's causing a problem. I'm thinking user manager application user that I'm injecting is a singleton. Maybe both requests are trying to use the same instance of user manager, and the first one disposes it, and the second request errors parts of startup, blah, 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 blah. And it's use npg SQL again. What's the comments here? Yep, error logs. User manager is not a singleton, it's written correctly. Invoke is invoked for every request. You're storing the user manager passed to the invoke method. Yeah. When you now get a second request simultaneously, you overwrite the stored user manager. Right, they're storing. The method is async. And I am passing the variable along. Right, when we look at the code here, right, we're not actually hanging on to anything here. Add role manager, add entity framework stores. It's down here in, right, I'm not storing a copy of the user manager here at all, or the database context. I'm just referencing it. And then when it seeds the default admin user up here, user manager was still a good thing. It was still all right there. This await is what I worry about. Because now instead of it writing to disk and kind of getting a faux interaction, a faux task coming back, it is actually waiting because it is going over the wire, because it is going to a different port, a different service on a different machine. There is network I/O introduced. And it is just passing along the user manager and the role manager that it requested. Right? Those aren't actually stored anywhere here, right? I mean, take a look. You know, configure authentication. Is being passed the user manager and role manager that is called here. Oh no. Yeah, Mr. The Plague, I think you're right. I think you're right. And now I've got purple here because DI is losing async context. I agree. We need to stick with the signature. We can't await this. Right, see, I've got the purple line there. Yeah, right, that's going to force us to synchronous at this point. Purple because it's running. There we go. I like the sound effects by way of ASCII there from President Not Sure. Dum dum dum. Let's see what we got. I think because we went async and it was doing a thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Get with it, Visual Studio. Okay. And it's still just kind of hanging, which tells me I did my task wrong. Right, I thought it was, right, the task dot, oh, get awaiter dot, ends the wait for the completion of the asynchronous tasks. Yeah. Right, that should do it. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Get to the thing. Okay. Dude. That's not right. I mean, I'm not even getting to my task here. You know? I mean, this shouldn't be hard. I don't think. Is Fierce Kittens here? Is she hanging out? Nope, don't see her. Come on. It's really taking a long time to build. Right now I'm like, now I'm wondering what the heck's going on. I mean, right, it's not even, there we go. What the heck is it doing? Did I anger the Visual Studio? Maybe. Okay. Go do the thing. Oh, look at that. Throw if disposed. If disposed. I think it threw. And now it's disposing. Is it supposed to be disposing now? It ran. works. It works. We've got the thing. Right, which means I should also, right, I should also be able to say, it only took, shut up. Okay, it only took 2 hours because we were dealing with a stupid disposal thing. Moral of the story, what did we learn? Don't anger Visual Studio. No. Let's put everything back the way that we were trying to do this. And we should be able to change this to just Options Builder. What we learned was that our startup extensions, we had changed, where'd it go? We had changed, that's not it. Where was it that we were just working? Not there. This. We had changed this to async, and we were doing this asynchronous set of interactions with an await, and it was not properly being awaited and handled by the ASP.NET runtime. We were doing an async void there. Yes, Ancient Coder is right. We don't ever do async void because it doesn't work. It's bad. It's a problem. So we forced this asynchronous call to synchronous so that it isn't disposed, right? Our object, our underlying entity framework context was being disposed from underneath of us while we were not, right? We were waiting for it to come back and it never came back. So that's a problem. What happened here? Okay. Don't need that. I'm just checking here when my next call is, because I really want to get over and look at PeachPie. I'm so eager. I've got some time. Yeah, I've got time. Let's argue about the right way to force an async function to run synchronously. What do you think, Mr. The Plague? What should we do? And I thank you very much, friends, there for the bot salutes. I appreciate the emotes. It makes me feel good. So we have code now that will run this in Postgres instead of SQLite. And if we don't specify Postgres here, it'll default to writing in SQLite. And part of me thinks that I should even hard code these two as default data sources if you don't specify a data provider. I think... Oh my gosh.
Congrats on fixing it.
Oh, thank you, Cyralash. I appreciate those that kind cheer. And of course I'll match that and we'll make another donation on over to Girl Develop It. Instead of async void, could you make it return a non-generic task? Tried that, and I don't think it was calling. I mean, let's just give that a try. I think Beck Bristow has a good comment there. Hey, Aaron. Yes, thank you for the comment there. We my Philadelphia Eagles won in terrible fashion last night. It was not the best looking win, but they won the home opener last night. If we do that async task, I don't think this will start properly, but we'll give it a shot. It was not pretty. The first half was terrible. Our team, the Philadelphia Eagles, our offense is a little crippled right now because a bunch of our best players, there you go, must have a return type of void. So that's not going to work. A win is a win. But some of our best offensive players are out right now. So that's not going to work. That isn't going to work. Our team will get a little bit better throughout the season as those players come back from being out injured. So I will just call this var the task equals that. Get a waiter, get results so that it finishes. All right. And that should still work if I use SQLite. Let me go back over. Let's say here. So here's where it's saying Postgres. Otherwise, go get the connection string. Part of me feels like if the connection string isn't set to make it that default, that it just writes to disk. Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Connection string equals string is null or empty. Connection string. Let's start that with a not so that it just does it. Set it equal to itself. Otherwise, let's give it that default setting. This is Corewiki data, which is this one. And I'm going to do the exact same thing where we set up right here. And I'll that one. So that if you don't have it set up, not there. There. If you don't have it configured, rats. There we go. It'll automatically create that. Because it's the startup class which requires certain method signatures. You are correct, Beck Bristow. Yep. The configure authentication have to be async. Kind of. It doesn't have to be async. It is, though, because we build these couple of default items out there when we seed it. Thank you for the follow, Albay99. I appreciate that. 3575 on the big follower list. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. So now, if there isn't configuration, and I'm not doing a check to make sure that we're properly configured here, but I can just delete that now. I'm going to comment these ones out. Put these ones back in. Let's commit and push. Exit. No, that's not the command. That is exited. Good. Let's go over to dev, Corewiki. There it is. 9 files changed. Yeah, because I renamed some of these things. All right. Git commit. Added the ability to use Postgres for data storage. Good. Done. I'd replace the switch with a dictionary. Yes, I think as we introduce additional providers, I think we do introduce a dictionary. I think you're onto something, Code Therapist. Or we put classes out there that contain, here's the definition for everything to configure that. Updates were rejected. What? I've got a really long password. Oh, because of the README. Whatever. Cool. Done. All right. One last thing. Off topic, when did Visual Studio start updating all the extensions automatically? Started Visual Studio and my stream ground to a halt. It's been doing it for a while, actually. Since the beginning of Visual Studio 2017, there are some extensions that can register and they will automatically update for you. Things like, particularly, and this is one that we lobbied for, the NuGet extension, which is now not even something, right, that'll appear in there. But like live share, automatically update. It starts off checked by default. You can turn that off if you'd like. So, fantastic. So now we have the features so that this will run and we can use a different database if we'd like to. And really the production instance of Corewiki should write to Postgres or some other database. So I'm pretty happy with how that ran. Now it's 12 o'clock. Do I really want to jump in and... Stop it. That's not where I want to be. Don't need that. Thank you. I'm not sure I want to start on PeachPie right now. I think I may want to just roll that over to tomorrow. But what I'm looking at is, PeachPie.io. Let's talk about this briefly, and I'll kind of leave this as a teaser for tomorrow. So PeachPie is a bridge between PHP and .NET is what they call it. You can take your PHP code, compile it, and run it on top of .NET Core. And that's really cool. They've got some phenomenal performance reports on this. Hey, I know that guy. How to work with plugins in WordPress on .NET. That's one thing that we're going to be I want to work on, because I want to put a Twitch status bar, right? If you go to my website, jeffreyfritz.com. So, I mean, first off, it's warming up the cache. That's lame. Oh, good morning, fierce kittens. I want to put, right, not just to follow me on Twitch here, but I'd like to put another button that says current Twitch status. Now, the other Twitch status things that are out there for WordPress that work in PHP, they're kind of lame. They're not just kind of lame, they're really lame. And I can build one in Razor and ASP.NET Core, and if I could embed it in my PHP application, that's pretty cool. I think that'll be fun. You cleared your calendar for today. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry about that. So what PeachPie will let us do is reference and build on top of WordPress real easy. And it's actually even a NuGet package that you can use. So there's PeachPie templates. You can create a website, but they actually have documentation for how to get WordPress running out there. Is that the Acevo? Thank you for the follow. Thea Fan Acevo. I'm not quite sure. Let me know how to pronounce that. But yes, I want to get my blog running on PeachPie. But they have a let me see if I can find it real quick. There is a WordPress. There's the first benchmark with it, but they have a WordPress NuGet package that you can reference and literally in 3 lines of code be running WordPress. Let's see, is this one it? And they turned on ASP.NET caching for WordPress, and it's phenomenally fast. I don't see it. Hanselman had a thing about this. PeachPie, WordPress, NuGet. It was a thing. Here it is. Hanselman wrote this up and did a nice thing. So check this out. You would compile your PHP into assembly and do something like this. However, there it is. wp.net-sdk. Check this out. Oh, I've opened it twice now. WordPress on .NET SDK. Yeah, there it is. Oh, Jacob's here. Hey, Jacob. So this is really cool. Is it PeachPie? .wordpress.sdk defines an abstraction layer providing .NET interfaces over the PHP WordPress instance. Oh. So, prerequisites .NET Core, MySQL Server, Visual Studio 2017, or VS Code. So I can run MySQL in a Docker container just to test it locally here. But there's like, it was like 3 lines of code that I needed to get this running. Yeah, I'm going to grab how Scott ran MySQL for this just because that's easy, right? Let's do that. So Docker is running. It's going to pull a copy of MySQL. Let that do its thing, and it'll be running. Now, go get .NET Core, clone their repository at the WP.NET SDK. I didn't think we needed to clone. If we look at the project here, there's the CS project. So ASP.NET Core stuff, PeachPie, ASP.NET Core web. Where was it? PeachPie WordPress. Ah, okay. I was looking at the SDK. There it is. Thank you. Configuration, app settings production, app settings, yep. Sourceless distribution. This is the thing. PeachPie WordPress. Nah, not the plugin. Where is it? Looking. Is there a wiki page? No. Okay, so you're pulling from... So here's the app. There it is. PeachPie WordPress ASP.NET Core. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. And then referencing the other one that has the plugin. So let's add this reference. Let's just start up a new project just to see what this looks like before we go and do the conversion. And I think I'll just do the conversion tomorrow because I want to give this a proper amount of time and I don't want to shortchange us, you know? All right, so let's call this test. Let's call this Jeff WordPress, right? Just clone the repo and run it. The code is in app program. Fantastic. All right. I'm going to go empty. Okay. I'm going to edit CS Proj because I am an elite developer. Package reference include. There it is. Am I going to get the... Nope, I'm not going to get the thing. Let's grab that version number. All right. And then it's in program. Web host create default. Startup use URLs. Configure services. Configure. That makes me so happy to see. Look at that. I love seeing that. Use developer exception page. Use WordPress. Add dashboard plugin. Add shortcode plugin. Done. I'm not going to add the plugins. I'm just going to say use WordPress. So let me go back over here. Program. Right. Which redirects over here to startup. So instead of this app run, app.use WordPress. Right? Capital P. And if I control dot. Did it not install? Oh, we need to add the other my get feed. The other new get feed. All right. Let me just grab that. Let's add a NuGet config file. So the NuGet configuration file, in case you're not familiar with it, allows us to define extra configuration locations for packages that we want to use. And it's not there. Well, that makes me feel bad. There we go. So now I want to have it rebuild. See if it'll go do that restore. Yeah, it's not there yet because I didn't bring it down yet. Do that with a thing. Let's see. There's a thing there. .NET restore. Must have missed a bunch of stuff. Totally missed everything. Do that with the thing, and over there with the stuff, there's a happening, and you wave your hands like this, and magic happens. Restoring packages. All right. So it is. It's doing the restore. Yeah, look at all the good stuff. And while that's running, there's MySQL running. Cool. I'll leave that running over there. At some point, though, I do need to tell WordPress, right? I need to tell it what the connection string is, right? Where do I tell it the connection string? Let me go down into app settings. So you just have WordPress like this. Is that how it's... Do I need to pass anything else into it? Or does it just grab it right from there? Maybe it does. When I'm ready to do my upgrade, Cyralash, that's what I'm going to go after. So I'm just getting it running at this point. So let me go create not app config. Who creates an app config? Who would do such a thing? Add new item, ASP.NET Core, app settings. There's a thing. I don't need connection strings because they're not needed for this. I'm going to grab your app settings here. Now that's kind of interesting. Legacy plugin assemblies, and it's PeachPie WordPress my plugin. I'm not going to be bringing in that plugin, so I'm going to just remove that for right now. DB host is localhost, yeah. Password, user, DB name. Because I'm running it inside of a Docker container over here, it is localhost. The root password is password. Database is called WordPress. Password is password. That should work. Let's give it a shot. What do you think? I think we're ready. I'm excited. Right? Being able to run full PHP, full WordPress. I think this is so cool. I learned how to write PHP a long time ago. 2001, 2002. And I actually wrote, oops, broke something. The directory name cdev Jeff WordPress WordPress is invalid. It's invalid. Let's go back up one. Do I need to create that folder on disk? It knows you don't have WordPress. Right. Sure. There is a little trick in Program CS. It expects WordPress directory, which is copied from the NuGet package. Right? Did I skip something here? Even if well, this is from a while ago. This is from a month and a half ago. And Scott cloned the SDK. Directory set current directory. Let me see. This. Did you do that in here? You start up. Let me tell you what. Yeah, that little one right there. I'll replace this. Right, that's in static void main. We'll get rid of that, which means I don't need this. Let's see if that works. Right, so setting the current directory is making sure that it pulls out of the assembly there. Nope. Ooh. The directory name C dev Jeff WordPress bin debug net 472 WordPress is invalid. Huh? Let me go over here. Where was it? Bin debug net 472. Yeah, it doesn't see it here. Why am I running on net 472 and not? Hang on. That feels bad. Netcore app. Let's try that again. Oh, are you kidding? Doesn't have a project assets JSON. Yeah. Build, rebuild. And it's installing. I can see it installing. So now if I go back over here, it shouldn't be in net 472. There should be, there it is, netcore app 21. And when this build is done, we should see contents in here with stuff. Contents with the stuff. We've got a thing with stuff. Restoring packages. There we go. There we go. WordPress is pretty big. All right, come on. Let's see here. Oh, nice. My Mac crashed. Restore completed. There it is. I was on the wrong framework version, wasn't I? Now let's try it. Looking impressive. Come on. Oh yeah. There's a thing. Where'd it go? Now listening on localhost. So if I go localhost 5004. Oh, I don't have my database set right. Not that. Localhost password root DB name is WordPress. Ready for connections. Port 3306. So we passed through 3306. Password WordPress. So it should. Right, user entry, DB entry. Yeah. I'm looking for it to say where it configures the user. I mean, nothing. What do we think? What am I missing? If I look at, I think the latest MySQL needs to run on SSL. I would run MySQL 5.6 instead of MySQL latest. Okay, let's do that. Where is it? There it is. MySQL 5.6. Let's change that. It's going to go and pull that down again. I love how fast Docker installs these things. Oh, it's already in use. All right, fine. Go away. 79. Give that a shot again. It is so convenient. All right. Nope. Still can't get to it. It should have set a password for the user. WordPress should create the database for you, because when I ran Docker, I specified the name of the database as WordPress, and I specified the password. Yeah, there you go. So Docker should have created it, right? Shutting down all the plugins, memory barrier, blah, 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 blah. Actually, it doesn't show that it created the database. Just for giggles, a Docker exec, IT, and we're going to connect to MySQL 1, and let's run bash. Okay. MySQL, I think it's -p, right? It'll get me into the local. And the password was, hey, Commander. The password was just password. Okay, so I'm in. Show tables. Show databases. WordPress. Use WordPress. Show tables. Oh, look at that. Well, right, because we didn't actually connect and build anything yet. Yeah, so I'm connected using root. Any reason why you're using Postgres in particular? I used Postgres for Corewiki earlier. It was just the first one I thought of. But the user is root, so root should have create DB rights. Does root have access to log in remotely? We'll stop and restart. Okay, application started. Localhost. It was 5004. Nope. MySQL gives access to root at localhost explicitly. It won't work from within another container. Disable just my code in the debug options and let's see the connection exception. Let's do it. Yeah, it's disabled actually. Can you connect from outside the container? Let's, not Solution Explorer. I wanted View. It's like not SQL Server Object Explorer. Anything in output window. Ooh, this. Access denied for user. Using password no. Really? Yeah, that's a Docker network that it's seeing me connecting in from. right? 172.17.01 is presumably the host machine. But yeah, using password, no. Why is it not using the password? I specified it right there. Interesting. So I didn't add any plugins. Should I add them? You've previously had PHP, MyAdmin, and MySQL running in separate containers, talking to each other. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm wondering. Right, app settings. Right, it should, I would think it's just passing that along. Yeah, I don't see it passing any additional information there. Stack Overflow knows more. I'm not seeing it. I'm looking to see if you have a password being passed in somewhere. Dashboard widget. That's cool. That's just that README. What am I thinking? App settings development. Oh. Right. So those are all the salts and keys and values WordPress does. No, we're not even... That's been executed, Cyralash, because I'm logged in using that. It's somewhere here, right? Even though I've got a... That's from a localhost connection to the container. I see what you're saying. Need to grant from the explicit IP. So we can actually take a look here, right? If I use MySQL, see, it's not MySQL, it's MySQL. We can actually look at the hosts and we can look at the grant here. That's not how you spell select. Jabba's Tuba Solo. Thanks so much for the follow. Cool, Nick. Not. It's like that. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Oh, it's user. Hey, Dev Chatter. Thanks so much for the host. But this does support %, and it has the same password. You can see they're hashed. So we're good. It is allowing from other hosts. So, good thought, but it's not doing anything. I'm going to try that clone just to see if that works. Right, let's clone this repository. Let's see, this one. Just to get it running. BFI Stein, thank you for the follow. All right. Go down into that one. Over here, I will open that project. cdev, there it is. Project file is incomplete. Expected imports are missing. Right? All right, here's the app settings. I will set this to password. And let's give it a shot. Yeah, it is. It's something's with the MySQL password is not being passed properly. But let's see if we can get this to pop in there. Come on. Restoring packages, good. Oh, I'm out of coffee. What am I going to do? You know who should get me coffee? Scott! Maybe. It's a thing. Yeah, it needs .NET Restore first, and it's restoring packages. Here, you can see it here behind me. No. Unable to find project information for the plugin. I'm not worried about the plugin. I'm going to unload this. And then this is referencing... That's fine. I'm going to remove that. Did someone clip that? Ugh. Come on. Come on. Oh, it's probably going to fail because that plugin isn't there now. Oh, okay, that WordPress wasn't there before. How did it know to copy that up to right there? Yeah, that's WordPress. There it is. The biggest usage of developer time is waiting. A little bit of that. Nope. What's it doing? It's doing something. Ah, here we go. Yeah. Venkata Ramova. I'm not sure what messages you're referring to. I don't see anything being held for moderation. Yeah, I think you're right, Jacob. The C# project before was fine, and something with that password wasn't being set properly. There it goes. Okay. Yeah, the plugin is missing. Because I removed it! Right? It was, let's just remove those. Something like set password. The password's set. Where's it trying to reference my plugin? Ah. Yeah, thank you, Brave Cobra. One more time. There we go. Right, MySQL's here running. I'm seeing exceptions over here. Look at that. Why would you even want a password if the connection is local anyway? Because that's the way you're going to have this set when you deploy it. So, site title, Fritz and Friends, and PeachPie. Username, Fritz. Password, sure. My email, jeff@jeffreyfritz.com. Search engine visibility, I don't care. But we're on .NET. It's installing WordPress. Look at this. Lots of MySQL exceptions. So there's, where did it go? Right, there's the database running. And I should be able to connect back into it. Right, MySQL-P, and the password was password. Show databases. Use WordPress. Show tables. And it's building the tables. Yeah! Debugging the session slows it a lot because WordPress is trying to read non-existing tables. Yeah. Woot. So now I should be able to log in with that and this password. That, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty freaking cool. I think that's amazing. I mean, seriously. I mean, the debugger's attached right now. And Jacob was saying, you know, with the debugger attached, it's doing a little bit of work here. So I'm going to Control F5 so I don't attach the debugger. Right? I mean, it's already up and running. Look at this. Look at this. This is insane to me. Look at how fast this runs. You know, this is a post. Here is my first post. Narf. I mean, this is phenomenal. It looks like Corewiki to you. That's the same type of thing that we're trying to build. But this is phenomenal. I love how fast this is. You know? I think Jacob's right. We were looking at the previous instance of this that I was trying to build, and for some reason it didn't write out my... well, first off, we didn't see a WordPress folder get created here, right, when we were running from this Jeff WordPress. I'm curious what the difference is between my CS_proj file and this one. Include root, PeachPie WordPress, ASP.NET Core. I didn't include PeachPie ASP.NET Core MVC. I wonder if that was it. It's the same version. The Void Ninja, thank you so much for the follow. Oh. I wonder if that. Copy to the output. I wasn't copying the JSON to the output directory. But, I mean, this is insane how fast it is running locally. Right? Yes, remember me. So, I think this is just awesome stuff. That you can get this up and running in no time at all. We were talking about being able to add some of these extensions. Popular. Let's try popular. Jetpack. I think we were saying Jetpack is a good one. WordPress needs access to your web server and to FTP credentials. I don't have FTP credentials. WordPress installing Word, because it needs to actually be copied to disk and then set up. So this doesn't work the same way now. But this is so cool. So if I understand properly, what I need to do in order to get my blog working is download my WordPress install and copy it into that WordPress folder that it builds out, and that'll give me my blogging using WordPress on PeachPie on .NET, and I think that is freaking amazing. So that is so cool, and I think that's where I'm going to leave us here today. I'll control kill that, and we can kill this. So cool. So I think we'll pick up tomorrow with doing that final integration, copying down my WordPress, putting it into PeachPie and into our .NET application here. And if we get that working, I want to write my little Twitch plugin. So why need WordPress when you have well, you might be onto something there. But WordPress it's 30% of the internet. So it's mighty popular with folks. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me here today. I think our friend Brian Clark is out there programming right now. Let's see who's running right now. He is. There's Brian. So I think if you stick around for a little bit, I think we will raid Brian. Let's set it up. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. We did some great work today. We got Postgres running with Corewiki. We learned a little bit about PeachPie, and we got WordPress running in PeachPie, and it screams. I am thrilled to see that. So we'll push that a little bit tomorrow and see what we can do to actually get my blog running. I'll download the source code for that so we have it here available, and we'll put it in and see what happens. But we're going to run over. We're going to raid Brian. This video will, of course, be archived and available on YouTube a little bit later today. If you stick around, if you click the button up at the top, you'll jump over to Brian's stream in a little bit. Brian's usually talking about Visual Studio Code and JavaScript. So if you're looking for some more front-end user interface stuff, hang around and visit with Brian. Let him know that you came from over here and say hi. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.